Hi, everybody. I am so excited to be coming to you live today from my home office. My name is Lisa Rinaman, and I'm just so proud to be your St. John's Riverkeeper. We are living in unprecedented times, and to be able to connect with you through technology is something I think we'll all be using more of. And I'm just so honored to be doing this important work at this moment in our history. I want to thank you for tuning in, whether it's live right now or if you're listening to this recording. I know we're all stretched. We're all wearing many new hats. I'm homeschooling 2 boys as well as chief cook, and I'm still continuing to keep our eyes on our mighty St. John's. We are so fortunate to have our river, its tributaries, all the parkland around it, because at this moment in time, we need our river more than ever. We know that our river can heal us. We know nature is extremely important, not even physically, but also to our emotional well-being. And that's why I want to thank all of you that have participated in our Hey St. SJRK Look at This hashtag. The photos we've been seeing on Facebook, whether they're your memories or things you're experiencing right now, I just want to thank you for sharing those photos, because there's scientific evidence that shows even looking at pictures of nature is important. And don't limit those photos to just the St. John's. If we have photos from your backyard, of your favorite tree, of just when you go out on a walk, please send those in, and let's connect through nature, even if it's through Facebook or any of our virtual tools that we have. But I think the connection is key. You know, we are your St. John's River team. We're all working remotely. I'm coming live to you today from my home office, which is also my dining room. But we're working to make sure that not only can we connect and stay on top of river issues right now, but also making sure that we are there for our river once we get through this storm, and we will, and we'll do it together. One thing that we do know is that while these times are challenging and our government is focused on dealing with the health crisis at hand, lobbyists for polluter interests, they never take a break. There's evidence of that with the EPA just relaxing regulatory enforcement. You know, we do not need to add a health issue on top of a health issue. We need to focus on protecting our rivers, protecting our air quality, water quality. So we're working with our national partners to make sure we weigh on that issue. I know a lot of us may not be ready to look at anything past the immediate threat. And so while I want to assure you that your Riverkeeper team, we're going to be working on all these issues to make sure that we're giving our river a voice every single day it needs one. And when you're ready, we want you to join us. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but we are here for you working on these issues for when you're ready to engage. So today I'm just going to give you a snapshot of some of the things to come. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on any single one, because there's time for that. We will be having webinars in the future. We'll be having more details. So if you want to weigh in and get very involved and engaged, we will give you the tools to do so. And if you just want to sit back and enjoy the beauty of our river and then focus on additional threats in the future, we're here for you as well. And so I see many of you coming on. Thank you for that. And also, if you have questions, I'll try to be doing this. This is my first Facebook Live, so bear with me. But I'll try to keep up with the questions as they come in. And I want to frame this whole discussion on something American Rivers has said, and it really sticks with me, is our river will sustain us, but we must sustain our river. And that's what your Riverkeeper team is doing every single day, making sure that not only are we looking for opportunities in this time of crisis, but also making sure that we're at the table and we're giving our river a voice virtually right now and every forum where our river needs one. So let me go through the issues, and then we will talk about some of the next steps, and then I'll open up the line for questions as they come in. As you know, the legislative session just wrapped up. It ended quite dramatically with the threat of the coronavirus, but unfortunately it failed our waterways throughout the state. While there were some minor steps forwards, A lot of the environmental issues relied on rulemaking. And when you have rulemaking, that means that there's going to be a lot of opportunity for lobbyists to sit and work on these rules, but there's also an opportunity for us to engage in these rules. And so those things are going to take place even though we're in the middle of a crisis. In fact, there's a whole round of public hearings that begin virtually next week that we'll be sitting on, and there'll be more to come. So we have to make sure that not only are we present in those virtual meetings, which our Riverkeeper team will be there, but we also need to make sure we're working with our statewide collaborations to have a presence to not only give the St. John's a voice, but all of our waterways throughout the state of Florida. Because these threats are not unique to our watershed. They're unfortunately threaten all the waters throughout our state. Excuse me. So with that, I do want to talk, before I get into the threat, let's go back to some good news. Our state collaborations are going strong. Waterkeepers Florida, you may know that the waterkeepers from across the state, there's 13 of us now, that we meet weekly, and we have a strategic meeting every Friday. So we weigh in not only through the legislative process, but now gearing up to work through this rulemaking that's happening as we speak. We also have collaborations with other environmentalists across the state. We had a call yesterday to not only discuss how we work together in this unprecedented time, but also how do we focus on truly standing up for our waterways. We have our Headwaters Advisory Council, and the Headwaters, they're active working on sewage sludge issues. And then our water policy group, which is here in Northeast Florida, are meeting regularly to figure out a way, how do we engage with our elected officials at a time we know they're distracted, heck, we're all distracted. How do we continue the work we do? So one of the first rulemaking issues right out of the gate is the state of Florida is trying to assume the delegation from the Army Corps for wetlands protection. You may be familiar with this if you participated in our Freedom Commerce fight many years ago. The Corps of Engineers gives an extra layer of protections for wetlands. Right now, the state's wanting to assume that responsibility, and that robs us of that extra layer of protection. And so we are opposed to that delegation. We're working with folks across the state to weigh in on that, and we'll be participating in the public hearings next week. We did ask for a delay of those public hearings because we believe the timing is not right. We're distracted. We need more people engaged. But right now they're scheduled to be kicked off on actually this week, April 2nd. Sorry, my calendar's rambling, but on April 2nd. And so we'll have folks involved with those and keep you posted, and also be submitting comments, and we'll have a call to action where you can submit your own comments. There will be another round of rulemaking on the sewage sludge issue. Sadly, the legislature actually watered down the draft rules that we've been working on for 2 years. They've kicked the can down the road, so we're continuing to see more threat from sewage sludge. Our Headwaters Advisory Council is on top of it. They've worked with local governments and our headwaters, and that's going to kick off, we think, in April, but those dates have not been announced, and we will keep you posted on that. There will be more on stormwater regulations, on septic tank, wastewater treatment facilities. These are all new rules that the legislature asked the state to do, and that timeline will be coming together, and we'll have more visibility on it in the very near future. So it's going to be an active summer. So I guess one of the good news about us being isolated in our homes, we'll be able to dig through the documents working with experts across the state to ensure that we get the most protective rule as possible. The other thing that's ongoing, we have on May 5th, there'll be a legal hearing. The judge is holding a legal hearing on the deep dredge of the St. Johns River. If you were out on Heckscher Drive before the shutdown, you saw the dredging is underway. I know it's disrupted fishing. There's a lot of turbidity, a lot of dirt, a lot of problems with the river out there. If you see pictures, if you're out fishing, if you could send those to us, we'll be working on that. But on May 5th, there's currently a hearing scheduled. We're not sure if that will go on as planned with the current environment, but that is something that our legal team is on top of. And another major threat that many of us have worked on together are the water withdrawals in Central Florida. The Central Florida Water Initiative continues to focus heavily on withdrawing surface water from the St. Johns to deal with shortage of water in Central Florida. This is a way they can continue to fuel unbridled growth at the expense of our river. And what happens when you withdraw millions of gallons, they're proposing up to 155 million gallons a day, when you pull fresh water out of a very shallow system like ours, then you pull in more salt water. And that does damage to our submerged grasses, it does damage to our wetlands. And those grasses and wetlands provide filtration. They help filter out the pollution, as well as they provide flood protection. So just like the dredging threatens those grasses with saltwater intrusion, the water withdrawals make it worse, and then sea level rise on top of that just adds salt in the wounds of these problems. And there's not anyone except us at the St. Johns Riverkeeper looking at this from a cumulative, holistic perspective. And so we have to weigh in on all of these issues. Right now, those comments are due on May 15th. There should be virtual public hearings in April, but those dates have not been announced, and so we'll let you know. And on all of these things, we will be having webinars. We're going to kick webinars off in mid-April, so stay tuned. And again, if you're not ready to dive into these issues, we fully understand, but we are here. We're going to provide the tools for those of you that may want the distraction to truly do something good for your river. And if you just want to look at the pictures we have to share, that's wonderful too. We want to make sure we're taking care of each other because we're in this together. On a positive front, I did speak with Councilman Matt Carlucci this morning, and he's working to resume the resiliency committee meetings here in Jacksonville. He's working through the technology to figure out how to have those meetings in a safe way, and they're looking at filing legislation soon with more of the outcomes of the Adaptation Action Area Committee. So stay tuned for that, and he'll let more information out as soon as he has that date and the technology to come together. So we appreciate his work. And then one of the biggest opportunities in front of us is the opportunity to free the Ocklawaha River. There's more than 33 organizations across the state working together to make sure that we get to free the Ocklawaha River, and most importantly, reconnect Silver Springs, the Ocklawaha, and the St. Johns River. That creates more freshwater flow into the St. Johns. It restores important migratory fish patterns that will increase the biodiversity of our fisheries, and it is one of the most important projects to restore the St. Johns. If we want to save the St. Johns, we have to save the Ocklawaha. We're going to have a virtual day on April 14th, mark your calendars, where we're going to be showing and sharing videos from all of these different waterways that are connected by the St. Johns and the Ocklawaha River. So as I mentioned, the webinars will be starting soon on each, and we're looking at approximately every 2 weeks a different topic. And so if there's one of these issues we mentioned you're more interested in, you can tune in. You can always stay in touch with us to ask for more detail. You can either reach out to me at lisa@stjohnsriverkeeper.org or info@stjohnsriverkeeper.org. Not only are Shannon Blankenship, our advocacy director, and I working on all of these issues, we have our education team that's working on fantastic ways to connect with kids. I know we're all looking for ways to give our kids more opportunities to grow and to sustain themselves during this hard time. And we also have our outreach team that's working to make sure we have the tools to bring this into your home, into you, and make it accessible to you, and getting us all smarter on social media, which we can connect while we're sheltering in place. So again, I just want to remind you to share your photos, your memories, anything from nature at hashtag HeySJRK look at this. And also, most importantly, remember we are in this together, and together we will make a difference. So thank you again for tuning in today. And I'm not seeing any questions. I do see a lot of names I recognize, so thank you all for tuning in. If you have any questions, now would be the time to come up, and I will apologize if there's a question here I'm not seeing. forgive me for that, and I'll figure this out as we go together. But let's see. Oh, we'll scroll up and see if I missed anything. Oh, here's some. I see some of our board members writing in. Oh my gosh, and some of my friends from my childhood, which I love to see. And I'm not seeing any photos, but I do see some amazing water warriors that have shared, that have logged in and watching this. I just want to thank all of you that are getting out and doing not only the work for our river, but also for our community. This is a time for us all to shine, and I want to thank you and work with all of us to get through this. And here's to a great other side of this crisis. I look forward to getting out on the St. Johns River with you all soon. Thank you very much.